So we're talking about the Wahhabi lobby in the United States and how it's bought into the news media and how many of the talking faces, such as the one just fired from MSNBC, Olbermann, a true Olbermann who called for civil dialogue while naming me one of the worst persons in the world. Thank God Comcast threw him out, and Olbermann will no longer be heard from, at least not in the immediate future. But we have a Wahhabi lobby, not referring to the Islamofascism that is plaguing the world, a virus that threatens moderate Muslims around the world, that threatens all Jews. In fact, as I said to you, I watched the Nat Geo special over the weekend, and it was very disturbing to see the lead-up to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing and how FBI agents were trying to get the president to do something about a radical mosque in the heart of Brooklyn, where the rats would come from around the world, and the rats would feast on our freedom. The rats would trade plans to blow up things, kill people. The rats would openly talk about killing Jews, killing Christians. The rats would come flooding in and live on welfare. The rats would come in and go in that place. Agents were screaming to their headquarters, close down the mosque, bug the mosque, do something. And because of political fears, neither Clinton, then Bush, now Obama will do anything. And so, sure, today the bomb is in Moscow. How much longer do you think it'll be before one goes off here? They're busy frisking your your grandmother at the airport. They're busy strip searching nuns. They're busy making little children in wheelchairs cry. But if somebody comes in looking like a holy man from the Middle East, they usher him right through. Do you think we're all dummies? We know what's going on. So I've asked, who is the strong man who will replace the straw man that is running America? How is he going to overcome the China lobby, the Wahhabi lobby? Who is this person? I don't know who the person is, but I'll tell you this. In about 10 minutes, we're going to have Donald Trump on the show, his second visit to the Savage Nation, and I'm going to ask him some questions, including how would he respond to this terror attack in Russia had it happened, God forbid, in the United States of America. And I'm going to ask him about China. As you well know, he and I both agree we must get tough with China. It's strange that over the weekend, well, it's not really strange that a writer in England in a leftist newspaper wrote that we must assume the bowing position when it comes to China, that we must not upset the Chinese, that they themselves are simply following their own philosophy of Confucianism and Mandarinism and all of the highfalutin garbage. And the last thing we should do is confront China in any way, that we should be passive towards China, lest we set off either a trade war or something worse than that. The exact opposite is true. The only thing that could save America is the resurgence of a manufacturing base in this country. I'd like to see the factories reopen. I'd like to see the factories that once built the tanks and the Jeeps and the airplanes running again in America. I'd like to see the shipyards running again. I'd like to see the steel factories opening up again. I'd like to see drilling in offshore of the United States of America for the first time off the West Coast to make us independent of the Wahhabi blackmailers. I would like to see slope drilling in Alaska. I'd like to see a lot of things done. And I need somebody to get into office who knows how to do it. I don't know who that man is. I know it's not Romney. This is the Savage Nation. The phone number is 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. Let's take our first caller out of New York City. Tony on WOR. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Michael, I wish you were that man. But listen, Michael, we could all feel a lot safer now. This phony, fake fraud, the Attorney General there, Holder, whatever his name is, he rounded up 127 Italian Americans. They're all citizens. You know, he got them for gambling and loan sharking and all that. I mean, it took 800 FBI guys, Michael, to round these guys up. It took 2 years. They said that it was under investigation for 2 years. Why didn't they put those 800 guys on the border? Why didn't they go find bin Laden or tell like it is, get these Muslims?
Well, you have no argument with me. Now, look, let's be clear. Anyone who's dealing drugs is doing the society a disservice. So let's be clear about that. No one's going to go soft on organized crime. But, Tony, there's a lot of questions to be asked about this show trial that Holder is engaging in. Why did he not crack down, for example, on the ethnic mafias that have sprung up in the United States of America? Why only Italians, Tony? You have an answer to that one?
Sure, because it's a lot easier. I mean, you know, he's afraid of the Muslims. You know, I mean, he might get popped off.
Well, I don't know what he's afraid of, but I know it's kind of embarrassing when they say they've rounded up the last of the organized criminals in America. We know that's a falsehood. We know from many books that have been written from the 1970s onward that there are many ethnic mafias in the United States of America. Why was there not one Chinese? Why was there not one Albanian? Why was there not one ethnic of any other flavor other than Italian? Can anyone explain that?
Well, there is, Michael. There is. You got the Russian mafia. There's a couple other nationalities too, but they like to, ever since The Godfather and all that, they like to build it up, make it look like a,
Well, I wasn't impressed with the roundup, to be frank with you. I thought that it was a big waste of FBI time, considering that we have enemies from China, enemies from Iran functioning right here in the United States of America. What if they had spent half of that energy and half of that investigative ability looking into the Iranian penetration, the Chinese espionage that's going on with regard to industrial espionage? The Chinese are stealing our secrets on a daily basis, both from our industries and from our government. Why was there no crackdown on that, Tony?
What about this guy named Bin Laden? Did you ever hear of him? What happened to him?
I don't even know who he is. Never heard of him. Whatever happened to him, Tony? I thought Obama was going to get him.
Right, yeah. Holder used 800 FBI guys, Michael, to get these guys doing gambling and loan sharking. What about our borders? What about these Muslims, these Islamic that are trying to kill us? Why didn't he go after
Well, Tony, you raise an interesting question. Here's one for the records that very few people know about. But when I had lunch with Congressman West at my house a couple of weeks ago, he said to me, do you know that we've got heroic American soldiers like Lieutenant Behenna who have been locked up in Leavenworth Prison in a cell created during the Civil War, who are being treated worse than the Al-Qaeda still kept at Guantanamo in Cuba, number one. But he said, explain this to me, Michael. How come to this day Major Nidal Hassan, remember the Fort Hood massacre, Tony? The Muslim major who went on a rampage and killed around 13 and wounded over 30? How come the media swept that under the rug? Do you know that Nidal Hassan has not been indicted yet for murder? Are you aware of that?
Of course not. I mean, you can't insult them people. I mean, they can only insult the Christians.
Well, Tony, this is why I say unless we get a strong man instead of a straw man, we are finished as a nation. It's over. We're in the last few days of this country, as far as I'm concerned. There's almost nothing left to save that's worth saving. And there's so much that can be done so quickly with a strong man that I'm praying that a strong man arises who wins the presidency. You, for one, would you vote for Romney? Do you think he's the man?
Are you kidding me? No way.
How about some of the other wonderful individuals who the Republicans are talking about, like old Rudy Giuliani? How about him?
I don't see anybody on the horizon right now.
Well, you mean not Newt Gingrich? He's another one who's going to save America. Well, how about this other unknown, Paul Lenti? Where do they get these characters from, Tony, who are guaranteed to lose and put Obama back for 4 more years?
Well, all they need is some guy to make some stupid speech or something, and right away they think he's a hero and he's ready for the job.
Oh, my God, Tony, it's a bad day in America when we don't have one politician speaking out against the Islamo-fascist bombing in Moscow, that it has to fall upon us poor guys in talk radio. It's a terrible day indeed.